New York Toy Fair is the toy industry event in the Western Hemisphere. It's when all the toy industry people, including manufacturers, retailers, and media, get together in New York City and show off their new stuff. It's not open to the public, and unless you're a retailer buying inventory for your business, there's nothing to buy. This year, 2020, was my second year attending, and that's one of the things that definitely takes a little getting used to. You see all this stuff that you want to add to your collection, but none of it is for sale yet. But you also see people having quiet conversations at tables, and you know that orders are being placed. Big orders. An entire year's worth of product. Potentially millions of dollars in product about to be moved from warehouse to sales floor. Last year, I had no idea what to do, where to go, how to spend my time, who to talk to, how to talk to people. I basically just reached out to my friend Pixel Dan and followed him around to learn from his experience. This year, I was able to take that experience and set up more realistic expectations about what the show was and what I wanted to see and who I wanted to talk to and how to get all of that done. No two Toy Fair experiences are the same. Everyone in attendance has their agenda, from wholesaler to corporate buyer to journalist to YouTuber. It's a 4-day event, but there's only so much time in that 4 days, and time is precious. For the most part, you have to schedule appointments in advance if you want to talk to someone or visit a booth or take pictures or whatever. I wanted to see Hasbro, Mattel, Bandai, NECA, Mezco, Diamond Select, McFarlane, Jazzwares, I Am Elemental, Boss Fight Studios, Super 7, anyone that was making action figures that I may have bought in the past or might buy in the future. Obviously, I wanted to see what they were working on and talk to them and how they got here with their figures and where they wanted to go in the future. Some of the things that really got me excited about the upcoming year were the new Fortnite pieces from McFarlane. That line continues to deliver interesting character designs that are just made for action figures, without any mythology or background story necessary. But I was able to catch up with Todd McFarlane himself and steal a few minutes. A thrill for me, since I've been a huge fan of his work for decades now. Listening to him talk about the return of Spawn to the toy shelves and plans for a potential remastered line of classic Spawn figures via Kickstarter was fascinating. Being able to talk to him, to ask him questions directly and see his enthusiasm, feel that energy coming out of him, that was a real treat for me. Boss Fight Studios is producing some of the best action figures in the world right now at the 4-inch scale. Eric, Katrina, and Fred were great to talk to. The figures they showed off for the first time were continuing to push what can be done with detail and innovation. More Flash Gordon figures, both comic and movie. More horses, Lone Ranger, Phantom, Tarzan. Their whole line of Vitruvian hacks, the interchangeability, the customizability of that line, the modularity of the pieces and parts. A lot of brilliant people doing a lot of brilliant work. NECA stunned me, absolutely stunned me with their Defenders of the Earth figures. I know. I did not expect to be coming out of Toy Fair talking about Defenders of the Earth. I could never have predicted that they would have pursued that license, much less had the whole team ready to show for this year. We did our history of Defenders of the Earth recently, and I thought, well, that's it for that. Probably won't hear that name for another decade or so. And then there's NECA with the whole line. And, regardless of whether or not I was interested in the show or the mythology back in the day or now, they're just phenomenal looking action figures. And that's what I really base stuff on, my purchasing. As a team, they've got the whole team. I'm not going to be able to pass on any of them. And then on top of that, Back to the Future stuff, regular and animated, Jaws figures, Bill and Ted, life-size Batman the Animated Series props, and a movie Casey Jones. And I gotta say, until you see them in person, I don't know if you can really appreciate the detail on those Toka and Raza and Super Shredder figures. They are absolutely incredible. Gundam Universe is dear to my heart, my sweet baby Gundam. One of the things I was most looking forward to was at Toy Fair was finding out if the next wave or two would be previewed. I was very happy to see a few new pieces in the booth at Bluefin, God Gundam, and Tall Geese, as well as silhouetted teasers for the next couple of waves, including New Gundam, Heavy Arms, Exia, Char's Zack, Gundam Astray Red Frame. It's a series I'm not familiar with, so it doesn't really roll off the tongue. Sandrock, who I'm pretty sure we've seen figures of before. They didn't have it in the booth. They had a silhouette for it, so I don't know what's going on there. And then Shenlong. That's a line, I don't collect the robot spirits, so this works for me. It's the right price point. It's the right size, and I'm really excited for this line. Super 7 surprised me with the Army of Darkness and Gem in the reaction line. I know nothing is really out of bounds in terms of expectations for the reaction line for Super 7. Super 7 has really put themselves in a position to be able to take advantage of a lot of brands, a lot of intellectual properties that other companies just can't move quickly enough on or don't have a strategy for. They don't have a place to put it. Whether you love the 5 POA stuff or not, it's really awesome to see those characters and that kind of card art on the pegs, to have options to buy some of those characters when there just isn't much else out there. I joked on Twitter the week before Toy Fair that I was anxiously awaiting the big Toy Fair announcements about product related to the upcoming movie Top Gun Maverick. I was the perfect age to become a huge Top Gun fan back in 1986, and my dad was working in the Navy with an F-14 squadron on aircraft carriers. So the fact that a new movie is coming out in 2020 was already a win for me. I was literally laughing when we actually came across some licensed items from the new movie. Costumes, a ride-on toy with Top Gun accents, a Lego-type brick-building company called Kobe that does a lot of military vehicles has an F-18 from the movie planned. It was another delightful surprise that I might not have known about if I hadn't been able to attend. I Am Elemental is one of my absolutely favorite toy companies. They launched via Kickstarter in 2014. Since then, they've put out 2 full waves of 4-inch action figures and a 6-inch figure as well. And then in 2017, they announced a partnership with Jim Henson Company for animation development. It spells a bright future for Julie Kerwin and the entire team at I Am Elemental as they can take their message of empowerment and strength and creativity to a much larger audience. I was so happy to be able to spend a few minutes with Julie and Vanita talking about their work and to thank them for what they had already done. And also, Julie gave me some delicious cake. Hasbro had so much stuff, so many huge brands. When you go through their display, you keep turning the corner and you're like, oh yeah, they have that brand as well. Oh yeah, they have that brand as well. Ghostbusters, Power Rangers, Transformers, Star Wars, Marvel Legends, like 80% of the stuff I collect. You can argue whether that's good for the industry or not, but the stuff they produce is, more often than not, really awesome. Ghostbusters 5 POA and 6-inch lines are coming. They're poised to take advantage of the super hot slime market right now with a brand pre-made for it. Power Rangers next waves are as exciting as the first few. They even showed off a combining classic Megazord. Transformers Scorponok was gigantic. I pity those of you who have all of their Titans, all of their giants in your collection. I don't know how you display them without making them pay rent. Man, Baby Yoda, just Baby Yoda I'm sorry, the child. And I gotta say, it's weird when you see the child on the packaging. Everybody in the room wants to say Baby Yoda. It's obviously not Baby Yoda. Whatever Yoda is, it's a baby that thing. Baby alien frog thing. But it's got to be called the child. Animatronic, PVC, made for kids, 6-inch collector versions that aren't 6 inches, they're like 1.5 inches. I feel like the Black Series Baby Yoda is way smaller than it should be, but I'm gonna hold off final judgment on that until it's actually in my hand on my shelf. I tried to steal the Black Series replica Boba Fett helmet. I was able to try it on. Still not sure if that's the kind of thing I want to get for my personal collection, but I think it's awesome that it's out there. Marvel Legends was an overwhelming display. So many characters already. Like, this line is the most comprehensive, exhaustive, and I mean that in a good way, line of characters from any universe ever. Like, I haven't done the math, but it might beat Star Wars at this point, especially with consistency. Star Wars has done a lot of characters, but they all fit different scales, different lines. Legends is just constantly there. Figures that came out almost 10 years ago, still working with figures coming out now. It was a big surprise to see figures based on the Fox movies. Better late than never. Hugh Jackman Wolverine looks awesome. The Deadpool movie stuff looks awesome. Long-time collection gaps being filled in. And the thing that caused the most excitement heading into Toy Fair, for sure, for me, was the announcement of the return of G.I. Joe. And I think it looks great. I was initially reluctant about some of the design choices. Would I have liked them to be just like the original designs? Of course. But I also want the brand to be healthy. I want it to survive this iteration and be able to bring in a new audience so it can grow. Like they're not going to do a Hall of Fame line of some point. Of course they are. But this relaunch has to be relevant to today, not just a copy of what it was 40 years ago. Yeah, it looks a little Fortnite-y. Fortnite is a billions of dollar business. It's what the kids want, and that's what's going to keep the brand relevant. Kids buying this line. Any of my initial reluctance was erased when I saw them in person. They look great. They pose great. I am 100% on board. If I had been in a store at that moment, there would have been no way I could have said no to them. I haven't been to many of these events, but it is becoming an additional incentive to be able to meet up with other creators from YouTube. Pixel Dan and I had already talked about shooting another Toy Fair recap like we did last year. Check that out if you haven't already. But this year, at the last second, he grabbed Robo from the Whoosh, and the three of us sat down to shoot a segment that was a lot of fun. Look for that on Pixel Dan's channel coming soon, if it's not up already at the time of watching this video. And then obviously check out both Pixel Dan and the Whoosh for their Toy Fair coverage. They were able to get much more comprehensive looks at the stuff that was there and put it in a more digestible format for you who couldn't be there. Toy Fair is always at the beginning of the year. It gives everyone a look at some of the stuff we can look forward to and get a sense of what our collections are going to look like very soon. It's a different view of the industry from the inside that fans don't usually get, and I guess don't get now. You only get it online. People that you don't necessarily get to interact with or talk to at a regular convention. It's a more relaxed environment. Everyone is there to work. Journalists, company reps. Maybe it's that I didn't personally have millions of dollars on the line, but it's a fun weekend for me being immersed in the industry that I have given so much of my time and money to, but also a group of people that have worked and continue to work to create the kinds of things that bring me joy and entertainment every day. Thanks for watching this and all our videos. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at toygalaxy for some of the other stuff that I took pictures of at the show if you're not already. Share this video and let us know in the comments down below what your favorite reveal from Toy Fair was. For me, it was G.I. Joe. Thanks. Later.